Today we look at some pewter minis from an older game called StarFleet Call to Arms. Join me as we take a look at these Federation starships. Hello and welcome to today's video. As I said, we are going to look at some older models from the StarFleet Call to Arms. I think it was a tabletop game. I've never actually gotten to play the game, and there's a story behind these minis on my desk right here that I want to tell you before we kind of dig in to start actually kind of playing with them. So there's a hobby shop here in Savannah called Morningstar Games, and we moved out here about 8 months ago. But before that, we came and visited the area and kind of explored. And we found Morningstar Games, and this is a very popular game shop here in town that I go to. And I was there and I noticed these Starfleet Call to Arm minis, and I bought the Federation Battlecruiser and I bought the Federation Dreadnought, leaving behind this lonely Federation light cruiser. I was in the store the other day and this guy was still hanging there all by himself on the shelf. So it broke my heart and I bought him. So I bought all three of these ships. Today we're going to start by first just doing some cleanup and assembly. That's the goal for today's video. Then we'll do a second video as we start to do kind of the paint scheme. So probably what I'll do, like I said, I'll get these cleaned up, I'll take them outside, get them primered, and then we'll come back and we'll actually paint these guys. But what's cool about these ships is we actually kind of get to dictate what we want to name them and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm actually going to go look for some of the Call to Arms material, because, like I said, these are just some really awesome pewter ships. And I want to make sure that I do them justice, because it's one of those things, they look awesome. I mean, they look beautiful. And the fact that they're the metal pewter is going to be a challenge, because I've never actually messed with pewter before. So we're going to get these guys built. That's the goal today. So if you're new here and you're curious in seeing more stuff like this and different model kits and different things that come across my desk, definitely hit that subscribe button and join us. Also, if you enjoy this video and you definitely want to see the second part of painting it, hit that thumbs up button. Let us know that you enjoy the content. And as always, if you want to consider helping the channel out, consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com. So without further ado, let's start taking a look and unboxing these minis. All right, so let's start taking a look at this. I'm going to set the light cruiser aside. I'm going to set the battle cruiser aside. We're going to start with the big kahuna. We're going to start with the Dreadnought. So let's get this guy out of the box. Let's take a look here. Now, I remember seeing these model kits as a kid at the hobby shop in my old hometown. Mongoose Publishing has made these because it's part of the Starfleet universe, but I never got to buy any of these as a kid. I bought the bigger Rebelle and those model kits versus a kit like this. So, and you can see just the detail in this is really, really nice. And the way that it's just been created. So this is a 3 nacelle Dreadnought. There's a few pieces of metal that we're going to have to be careful of. I'm just going to start gluing pieces together. I'm just using super glue because this is pewter. I could get the soldering iron out, but I don't think I want to go that far. There's really no instructions either on assembling this, so I'm really kind of hoping the super glue will do the trick. For this, I may need to get some super glue accelerant to make this go a little bit faster and work a little bit better, but I wouldn't think modeling glue would work very well with the metal. And definitely one of those things, I'll have to look at these seams, probably come in with some Vallejo resin putty to help with some gap filling and stuff like that. But yeah, that is definitely not adhering the way I'd hope. But I got a tool for that with super glue. It's just the super glue accelerant. Works really, really well. Just a little bit of a squirt, and we'll make that super glue harden really, really quick. And just like that, there she be. Whoop, and I, of course, just break it. And I've destroyed it. So with that comes a catch-22. Then I'm going to have to clean that out very carefully. Luckily, it's still somewhat pliable. This is pewter, so it's a soft metal, which will let me get in here and clean this up pretty quick. Now, one thing I probably should have done is kind of scraped it up a little bit to give the glue some more contact points, but I didn't do that. There may be just enough accelerant sitting on top there to let that start to adhere pretty quickly. All right, so let's start taking a look at some of the other parts. So we've got the upper warp nacelle. We've got our two standard warp nacelles. You guys can see there's some leftover pewter from the pour. A lot of those times will just come off very easily. Same with the navigational deflector. There's a piece of it there as well. That just pops off, and what you can do is you can take snippers, or you can take a light file and kind of clean that off. But I'm actually going to hold on to those pieces just in case I need them. You guys can see there it created a gap because of what I did. What I'll do is I'll use some filler putty and kind of nicely get that in there and correct that. But we're starting to see the look of that mighty ship. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do that upper nacelle in the middle. Spray some accelerant, and we'll get that guy in this groove here. Get them in there, hold it for a few moments here, let that super glue take hold. Which it did not. Really kind of looking more forward to the painting of this project than I am the actual assembly here. So we'll just give this a moment here to kind of sit and take. There we go. We'll start working on these other nacelles. This is kind of a unique ship because it looks like the Constitution, but it's really, it's got more power. And the warp nacelles, you can see, the Constitution class, these back nacelles sit up to the top. These are shorter. Part of the problem is they're so heavy. With the metal, they're just so much heavier than usual that it's making it harder to get the glue to adhere. I noticed too, on this one, there's pieces of pewter needs taking off. A lot of times you can just get it with your hand and take a file and clean it up. All right. Try to make sure it's at the same angle. Make sure it looks right. It's just not adhering. So here, try to clean in that and make sure I don't break it. Undo the work we've already done, which I just did. Gosh. The fun of Federation starships, right? The warp nacelles always seem to be kind of the worst. Get the navigational deflector in there real quick without getting super glue on my hands. Drop him in there. And I think I'm going to kind of let that set up a little bit more before I try to mess with the nacelles again. So what are your guys' thoughts on pewter models? Like I said, I'm kind of just learning how to work with them. Definitely noticing a lot of differences. I'm kind of excited. I'm more excited to actually paint these than I am actually to the building process here. So I'm kind of excited about that. What I may have to do here is get the soldering gun out to make those adhere properly. Everything else is kind of going okay with the super glue. So that's the first hop. We'll come back to the warp nacelles here. I want to kind of clean that up a little bit. But next we'll hop over to the Federation battle cruiser, which is more looking like the Constitution class. And I'll figure out what I want to do with getting these to actually sit, because guess what? We have the same problem again on this one. So let's hop over and let's start working on the battle cruiser. All right, guys, so you can see I pulled it back. I took time and patience, and we now have the Federation battlecruiser in all her glory. Assembled and ready for some cleanup, some filler, and some primer. So next we're going to move on to the Federation battlecruiser. So that was the Dreadnought. Get her back on her stand without breaking her. We'll just set it off to the side here. It's dry now. So let's take a look at this Federation battlecruiser. Now I feel bad because this Dreadnought and this battlecruiser literally have sat at my desk. I bought them, took them back to Missouri, moved to Georgia with them in my desk, and then just now getting them putting them together after a year after buying them. So you can definitely tell the difference between the Dreadnought and the battlecruiser. The saucer section is definitely smaller. I feel like there's more detail on this saucer section, which is good. We got the navigational deflector, we've got the lower hull, and we've got the warp nacelles, which definitely need some cleanup TLC. So let's get them kind of away from this brick. I'm hoping, and looking at how the nacelles are grooved, these are going to be a little bit easier to get into the groove. Hang on, let me grab a pair of snippers. get into the groove and kind of make this one a little bit faster build than the other one, but I'm also figuring out I just need to be patient. The whole art of this thing, keyword to art of models is patience. And as we're learning today, I obviously don't have any. Put the spare metal shards over here with the others out of the way. And we've got our core pieces here. Now I was noticing, like here, there's definitely where this has been connected onto something else. I'm just going to take my side cutters here and kind of trim that up. And probably what I'll do is I'll take a file and make sure that is nice and smooth here after we kind of do some work with it. And it's always handy to have a nice little file set. With any build, with anything that you're building, they're kind of a have-to kind of thing. And the nice thing about these pewter models is the files work quickly. So you gotta be careful not to overdo it. But just like that, the burr is gone, and we now have a closer to smooth saucer section. Just like that. All right, let's clean up this lower hull piece. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put that navigational deflector dish in. So, we drop a super glue, and we're going to plop him right in. Make sure he's straight. We're going to let him cure for a second. And the difference between this one and the Dreadnought is we've only got 2 holes to line up with the lower hull, which is going to be kind of a nicer connector. The way the lower hull is going to line up, I'm hoping is easier. Which we're doing right now. All right, and the game with this one is patience today. So we'll let that sit and let that super glue start to cure. Notice I bumped the navigational deflector, so we'll kind of move him back around into place. Actually, I've kind of losing the battle with patience on that one, so we'll use the accelerant and we will get this lined up. We'll get that adhered in place, just like that. We'll let that solidify in our hands for a moment. And while that solidifies, we're going to make this pretty girl stand real quick. Quick, simple assembly right there. Done and gone. That super glue accelerant does a really nice job quickly adhering. What I'm figuring out too is I may need to drill the stand holes a little deeper. What I'm kind of figuring out with the Dreadnought. All right, so now we got the warp nacelles and the pylons. We struggled with this on the Dreadnought, so hopefully we won't struggle on it with this one. Put a bead of super glue. I'm going to spray the accelerant on the other piece. I got schooled I was doing that wrong. And we're gonna notice a burr that I didn't get. Get that off there so that will sit in nicely. And we will push this guy into his groove here. And let that super glue accelerant set up. And bada boom, bada bing, there's the first nacelle. I'll take a look at the other nacelle, make sure I didn't miss a burr. And I'm going to repeat the same process. I'm going to put the glue into one side, just like that. I'm going to take the other piece and spray the accelerant on the end that's going to be inserted. And I'm going to squeeze him into place real quick. Let that accelerant settle. And bada boom, bada bing, there's our Federation battle cruiser. That one went together really, really nicely. So we got a battle cruiser. We've got our heavier, more powerful dreadnought that needs a third nacelle to move. So that makes me wonder, if we've got a third nacelle, is that all off one warp core or is that off 2 warp cores? If you guys know, leave it down in the description down below. All right, so we've got the first 2. I'm going to drill his stand out. So now we got to move on to the light cruiser. So let's move on to that one. All right, let's get this light cruiser added into the bunch. So we've got our battle cruiser, we've got our dreadnought. Now we've got the light cruiser. Like I said, guys, not a lot of information comes with these. You can see that's all that's in the box, no instructions. So if I put this together wrong, please don't hate me. And like I said, today we're getting these put together. We're going to kind of get them cleaned up, and then I'll take them out to primer, and we'll come back. Especially if you guys say in the comments down below that you want to see it painted, definitely leave those comments, okay, guys? That's going to let me know that you truly want me to do that. So this guy's kind of flat barreled. We get kind of these excess pieces off. We got 2 nacelles. Now you can see kind of the way they're in here. That's kind of really hard to get them away smoothly. So we may have to do some filling and that to kind of make them look right. Some filing. There we go. That's better. Let's clean up the other one. We got that one cleaned up too. So this guy's going to be a pretty quick little assemble. Set the spare parts off to the side here, just in case we need the spare pieces of metal for a repair or something along that line. We're going to go back to the same method now that I've figured out how to super glue them. We'll set those warp nacelles in place. We'll set this guy up on his stand. Now we've got a Federation light cruiser. All right, so we've got them assembled. From our little guy all the way up to our big kahuna. So the next steps for me on this project is I'm going to do a little bit of fine grinding. I'm probably going to get my Dremel out and use a soft polishing to kind of scrape up the metal. Then I'll spray a primer on here. Probably do a black primer. That way when I come back with the airbrush with the whites, I can keep the recessed lines being sharp with that little bit of darker detail. And then we'll start getting some color on this. So definitely, if you want to see a video of me painting these three, you guys have got to put it in the comments. You want to see this? Make sure you give a thumbs up as we start moving through these three Pewter ships, because I want to get them done. So one, we got to get back to the Gundam build. Two, I want to get back to building. I want to build a D. I want to build the Enterprise D. But all in all, we've got a lot of cool stuff going on here and a lot of nice, pretty ships. And I want to get them painted and get them looking great. So if you guys are definitely interested in seeing those finished, seeing this coming up on the channel, or maybe even a bigger, older version one, as well as the Gundams, definitely hit me up in the comments down below. Tell me what you're looking for model kits to see me build, because we still got a Zaku. We still got quite a few model kits to build. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next part of this build.